is your host, Holly, and it's time for a little teaser talk.
Rocklahoma. America's biggest Labor Day party is back with the loudest lineup yet. This August 30th through September 1st in Pryor, Oklahoma, with, for the first time ever, Avenged Sevenfold, Slipknot, Disturbed, Evanescence, plus A Day to Remember, Lamb of God, and many more. Passes and camping on sale now at rocklahoma.com, starting at $10 down.
Head over to our Instagram at Teaser Talk to find out how you can win a weekend pass to Rocklahoma. What's going on, everyone? I have a very unique guest, and I make you sound like you're some person hiding in the shadows, like a weird thing I found. But this guest, it's interesting because this guest has actually piqued my interest on Instagram, and very rarely have I I've never ever DM'd somebody, and I'm like, I love your vibe. I'd love to have you on the show. So welcome to Teaser Talk, the lo-fi horror guy.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the time tonight, and thank you for the nice introduction. And I appreciate you reaching out and us crossing paths. And this is going to be a lot of fun.
It is. I'm excited because, for those listening in, don't do it just yet because you guys are listening to the podcast, but go check out his Instagram because it's like you're attending like a horror film museum every day. You get educated on some cool shit. So I, obviously piqued my interest, and I'm curious. Like I just said, you have a shit ton of horror things, and you host a podcast, you play drums in a band, and the band's called Tunnel of Love. I just need to hear your story because you have all these fascinating components, and I need to put all the pieces together and see what you're about.
Thank you. Honestly, since being young, I just remember my family always being really interested in music, and then also in movies. And I think being, smaller or younger, it was different things like Disney movies or Homeward Bound or just, different shit like that. It wasn't necessarily right away horror or anything, but, and then music was just always really relevant. My dad was into, psych, kind of rock, 70s stuff. My mom was more into folky. I had two brothers who were both into more thrash metal, kind of maybe even leaning a little more death metal there. And then I had my sister who she was very into pop music and radio culture and Spice Girls and some of the the boy bands that were out there too. And so it was always kind of a culmination of things. And I think maybe the draw to horror movies was always right around Halloween and just, there being a thing with seeing the spookier commercials on the TV and, maybe some Goosebumps things coming out. And then, just getting to, dress up and have, some of that fun, kind of spooky, vibe to everything. And, it wasn't really when I was younger, I couldn't watch, R-rated movies. I couldn't really watch, or listen to parental advisory, music. My parents were very Reformed Christian, very kind of old school, and still are, and I love them, but it was just one of those things where there was that vibe of you're supposed to stay away. That's not supposed to be stuff that you're drawn to. And and it made it fun though. So it was kind of, that element to ooh, what is this? And how can I sneak around to try and get my hands on a Slayer record?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I feel you because I grew up in the Bible Belt and same thing. My mom, was always that's the devil stuff. And I remember me and my brother, we had been in kindergarten, first grade. He's a couple years older than me, but I was so young. We would sign up for BMG Music. We would mail in our freaking penny. Here, but we would mail in the penny, and we would get Rob Zombie. We would get Godsmack, all these artists like that. And I remember my mom would find them, and she would break the CDs, and she's like, music. And I remember my brother were like, ha ha ha, we got more pennies. I'm pretty sure there's a warrant out for arrest for the BMG. Allegedly, this story is allegedly not. But anyways, yeah, I feel you there. I feel you there for sure.
It's crazy how many people got away with that shit. Somehow I never picked up. I knew friends that had it or whatever, and it just sounded way too dodgy, in the first place for me, having some of the stuff. But I'm how does that fucking work?
We were in elementary school and doing it, so I'm not sure how obviously my brother was a mastermind. I'm not in kindergarten like filling out mailing forms, but
Sure,
it was very interesting how they ever like did they ever get a profit from that? I don't know. Unsolved mysteries for sure.
How? I mean, how would they?
I mean, was there anybody that ever paid? Like, if you guys are listening in and you've actually paid for fully your 19 records or whatever you got, please DM me and I will send you some.
Yeah. I still don't understand. I mean, and it's cool too. Like, I mean, having those little opportunities, or like, I think maybe even earlier on there was compilation tapes or compilation CDs, and like that being kind of a draw into finding, and discovering more new music too. But that BMG thing, man, that was popular. People loved that shit. And I was just,
Yeah. I mean, I love that shit for sure. I don't even do not understand it. I'm showing my age. That was like, 10 years ago or whatever. But anyway, but yeah, so very cool. So yeah, growing up that way. So I'm curious. Don't worry, I'm not trying to steal your identity. So I don't need the birthday specifically. But were you born around October? I'm curious on that part.
No, June.
June, okay.
Just had a birthday. Yeah.
Now, what's your first dog's name? No, I'm kidding. But anyways,
I was
security question. Yeah. I'm kidding. Don't say these words. No, I was curious because for me personally, that's where my love for like all things scary movies and stuff is, because my birthday is at the end of October, and of course, just because to save, I guess, to have fun or whatever, my mom always throws like costume parties for my birthday. So like every birthday was a costume party. So I always loved all the scary stuff, and it just made me feel special. So
that rules.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. And it's not like Christmas, like they don't give out gifts, so I'm not competing. It's just
yeah. What are like some of the memorable costumes that you guys would whip up?
I was such a fucking weirdo. I still am. I was always an alien of some sort. Like not like cool like Aliens the movie, but like like an alien. Like
I don't painted up green, or like having like some sort of pullover like mask type situation.
Like mask situation. I remember one time that you might be a redneck whenever you can proudly announce you won a costume party at Walmart. But I won one of your Walmart costume party wearing an alien costume. So shout out to that costume maker back in the day.
Do you like have an employee shirt on, or what?
I don't even know what I won.
How did that even happen?
I might have got like $10 gift card, I can't even remember, but I just remember thinking, damn, that's cool as shit. I remember losing out to the person, and they had a cool ass costume. I'll give it to them. It was like a crazy, scary guy, like stealing a baby or something. And it was like a child. So the child was the baby, and then they had like this weird like thing built over their head. It was pretty legit. Okay. So like I'm not mad about it because but yeah. Man. Anyways, moving on from this topic. So, fast forward now, you're playing in a band. Obviously, you have this love for all the scary things. I want to talk about your podcast just because obviously I have a podcast, you have a podcast. Let's nerd out about it. What exactly started or inspired you to start hosting Growing on You Live, and what exactly is it about?
Honestly, it started from just having a page on here. I had seen a couple of people that had, like horror specific pages on Instagram. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. I've always collected, and I've always had, a real big love for it. And, be kind of fun to do something like that and kind of show off different editions and, and so on and so forth. But, and then just over a couple of years, just meeting some of the people and having some of the people that were on here and kind of interacting and, sharing stories. It had kind of started with a buddy of mine, Rob. He goes by the Horror Punk on here. And, nice. I was trying to think, because I was like, we talk all the time on here, we message, and, but I'm like, I think it'd be kind of cool to do something a little bit more personal. And so initially I was trying to think of like a way of maybe doing like some sort of like an interview program to where like they could tell their story and it was about them, and it wasn't, me sitting here and just kind of, like taking the reign for an hour and a half and the person's like, oh yeah, okay. Sometimes like that, that's kind of how like podcasts and interviews in general, even on TV, happen, so I mean, it was just me reaching out to Rob, and I was like, if you'd have any interest, I'd love to hear, like more about your story. And so it just really developed from there. And then it wasn't too long after I just had the idea of like reaching out to some people, and myself being a drummer, myself being a musician, loving music in general. I'd reached out to the drummer of a band called Incendiary. I don't know if you've ever heard of them or not. They're
Mm.
on the East Coast. They're from Long Island. Amazing hardcore band. They've been around for fucking ever. And I reached out to their drummer, Danny, and he had like messaged me back like same day and was like, "Yeah, dude, this sounds cool. Just like let me know." And I was like looking at my wife like, "What the fuck?"
Fuck yeah,
Like,
that's awesome.
dude, so and it just really went from there. I just kind of started kind of building a little bit of a rapport and having like
Mhm.
a catalog when I reach out to people and, hey, this is past guests that I've had. If you have any interest, blah blah blah. Try to make it as easy as I can. And it's about music, and it's about horror, and kind of digging in really to like individual stories and how they came into these things, and maybe even fast forwarding through today and what they have going on today, and how these interests developed into where they are at the moment.
I love that. That's kick ass for sure. And I feel like that's kind of like Teaser Talk kind of started too, is just kind of passion for music. And then the next thing I know, like my childhood idols that I loved were like my guests on my show. And I was like, oh shit, this is cool. So yeah, cheers to that. That's awesome. So I've got to ask you, what's your favorite scary movie? I can't do the voice, but like picture that, but like Matthew Dillard voice. I need to know. I need to know these answers.
Honestly, I mean, I probably have to say it's a toss up every once in a while, but through and through, I think it's Jaws.
Nice.
I think that really was like the start of taking on this thrill and what horror movies can really do to you. But it kind of goes back and forth. People ask about top fives, and that's always kind of like a revolving door of like,
Yeah.
well, I really fucking love this because it's funny, but I love this because it's scary. But yeah, it'd probably have to be Jaws. I'd have to say
All-time favorite. Now I'm curious. The flip side of that is like, what is like a show that even if it's like when you were little, like just scared the shit out of you? Like, what was your least favorite scary movie? You were like, damn, that is scary.
Well, I mean, truthfully, like Jaws.
So like, same. Okay, so we're going to the
Like, straight
psychopath.
up.
I love this. No,
it took a while because initially it was just kind of like a freak accident that brought me. I had a concussion, and my mom was trying to keep me awake, and I was a little kid, and I just took a shot in the dark by asking if I could watch Jaws, and they had a tape on the wall, and we popped it in, and it was fucking horrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. And still to this day, like I live in Michigan, we're surrounded by fresh water. But if my feet aren't touching underneath me, I'm heading back in. I'm not doing it. And so all these years later, I mean, still like I can't say that I completely bug out, but that is certainly like a kind of a glutton movie that even at an early age, just really kind of messed with me. But as far as like something being really scary when I was little.
maybe this will help kind of get your creative thoughts going. For me personally, not that this was the scariest movie, but the one that gave me like the heebie-jeebies and creeped me the fuck out was Leprechaun. I just remember being a kid, like in the corner, like, what the fuck is this? I don't know why it really, like, even thinking about it right now, I'm getting goosebumps. I'm like, that Leprechaun can like kick rocks. Did not enjoy that.
That is scary too. My brother, we had watched, I think it was Leprechaun 2, and I remember I had to go downstairs for whatever the hell it would have been, and he was like hunched over and like kind of like frolic walking down the steps like at me, and I was downstairs. That was absolutely terrifying. Something about Warwick Davis too in that role, like. Yeah. Him being kind of silly and him being kind of funny, that also still like
it messes with you too. You don't know if like laugh, giggle, like run away.
Yeah. I think to say like my buddy and I, Ryan, who we went, graduated with and we've been friends for basically life, he had introduced me initially to watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I can't remember how old we were. If we were teenagers, maybe not even by far. And that movie made me physically sick. I was like,
wow.
I was going, and like we had like all the pizza and pop and just a typical like Friday night for if you had that opportunity as far as going to like the local rental and all that shit. But it was bad. It really messed with me, and it just kind of like kept in my head. And specifically kind of that scene toward the end when he like jumps out at Franklin and his eyes are all of a sudden like real close to camera. Yeah, that fucked with me, man, for a long
Well,
time.
well, what? We'll change subjects because I'm not trying to have you Ralph here on this show.
Yeah.
Moving on to other topics. Kidding. But yeah, that's awesome. Now I'm curious, you have an awesome collection going on. What is your favorite piece or what's your like most prized possession? Now, obviously it doesn't have to be monetarily worth it, but I'm talking about for you personally. What's something that's like near and dear to your that you have in your collection?
I mean, as far as movies, I have like a couple of like older VHS that it's not even necessarily that they're like worth a whole ton, but it was just, buying them earlier on and still having them and still having that be kind of like a thing of, a memory and like where things, kind of started. But I have a couple of Evil Dead. They're just DVDs, but they come in like the Book of the Dead edition, so it looks like it's like the flesh bound book. I've always loved those things. Those things are awesome. And it's kind of hard nowadays because I feel like there's just so many absolutely great editions of things. Like I have, this is actually like a pretty new edition, but there's a Dawn of the Dead that came out from a company called Second Sight Films, and they're a company from over in Europe, and I picked that up when it initially came out, and if you go to get it on eBay now, it's like $500. Like it's insane. So there's different things, but I love my Evil Dead editions. I had a DVD of a movie called The Woman in Black, and forever it was really hard to be able to even try and find that anywhere. And I had scored that a long time ago, and now since Blu-rays have kind of come out, and so that takes down value, but it was a little bit more of like that chase, when you finally find it, you're like, oh yes, So yeah, I love that. A couple of my favorites. Yeah, do you have different things as far as records or anything like that?
Very cool. Yeah, I have records back here, but I don't have anything that's like, man, this is like exclusive, whatever. Honestly, the one record that I have in mind that I'm like literally low key like juicing over is gonna be the Weeknd's trilogy, his original album set. I know that was like so random, far out there,
Sick.
but
Okay.
there's only like 500 of them ever released. And if you look on eBay, they're like $90,000 or something stupid I would never pay for. But I'm like, every time I'm like in a record store in Oklahoma City, I'm like, you're in here somewhere. I know you are. I haven't found him yet, but
Damn. Yeah, well, that's awesome. That's cool. I think that's always kind of like the fun part with all of this is that chase.
Exactly. I have so I have like the Kiss albums, like these ones.
Oh yeah, okay. So
and I have let's see here. I have Paul, I have Gene, and I have Peter. So I'm still on the hunt.
Oh shit. Okay.
One, but yeah, it is that chase because I still look. I mean, shit. I just actually went to a store a couple of days ago and I was digging through it trying to find the other one, but gives me something to look for.
Yeah, it'll come. But that's the fun, I think that was kind of like, I mean, I not to mention like ages or anything. I'm 36, and I still had plenty of memory where going to local video shops or going to local record shops or music shops, you kind of go through that stuff, and maybe they have a used section, and you're like sifting through, and they randomly have that one thing you're looking for like 5 cents. Fuck.
Yeah.
Awesome.
1,000%. I'm like 26. No, I'm kidding. I'm 35, so I totally relate. I lived the same life for sure.
Yeah,
Digging.
Cool.
Well, awesome. I appreciate you sharing all of your story and the cool things. But I think now is a time for us to play a little game. What do you think?
All right.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Let me see if I can transition this. Yeah, like I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get drunk off of this because, like I said, who you are, and then me who I put these together. That's probably elementary. We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
2 seconds. Let's see if I can do this without screwing it up. Share my screen. Yes, beautiful. Let's see if we can see that. Can you see that? Yeah,
yep.
It's showing up. Okay,
cool.
So just make sure you can read it all, so you don't think I'm like faking it out or anything.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All right. So this is horror movie fact or fiction. So I'm going to tell you something about.
Okay.
I've had like some like fun intro music. Maybe I can edit it in post production. But anyway, here I am trying to catch up already from that fumble. But yeah. So I just will show you a statement, and all you got to say is fact or fiction. It's pretty simple. I know. Right. Pretty simple.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah, no pressure, but lots. Okay, so the first one we have The Exorcist was the first horror film to be nominated for a Best Picture Oscar.
I'd say false.
So, bum bum bum, you've got to take a drink because it is fact.
Oof, that's a
Yeah.
fact.
So the
Wow.
horror
Okay.
genre,
The
as we
Exorcist.
know, the horror
Wow.
genre has, as we know, has never got much love from the Academy. Though it seems to be biased against scary movies during award season. The Exorcist had earned 10 Oscar nominations in 1974, including Best Supporting Actress, nod for Linda Blair, who was just 15 years old at the time.
Damn. Okay.
Oh, impressive. Okay,
Maybe
cool.
I'll get drunk from this. Holy
Yeah,
man.
here we go. Let's roll. Like, I'm a little parched, so I need you to step that up already. The next one we have is Psycho was the third American film to feature a toilet.
Wow. I mean, this feels a little weird to be false and have it be. It feels like an odd flex. You know what I'm saying? Let's say true fact.
Well, you got to drink again. It is fiction. It's actually the first American film to feature a toilet. So, in addition to be the first American film to show a toilet on screen, you know, it's so scary, you guys. Psycho was also the first American film to, as we hear a toilet being flushed. That just shows you how repressed we were in like the 50s. Or
wow. Yeah, no shit.
It's wild, huh? Okay, good. That makes me feel better because I was like literally like second guessing myself when I was creating this. I was like, man. Honestly, I didn't know a lot of these, but like, I don't know.
Well, I failed to mention, Nicole, though, that this is kind of this was right around the time I was going to get some drinks in anyway. So maybe it's just an excuse, you know, where I'm like.
So what you're saying is you're throwing the game. We'll go with that. It's fine. I'll allow it. All right. The next one we've got is Stephen King wasn't a fan of The Shining. Of course, the movie is what I'm referring to.
Fact.
Okay. I will gladly finally drink. Hold on, let me get a sip here, you guys. For my ASMR people, you're welcome for me gulping into the mic.
Oh boy, I know. I've got like the the little headphone setup still. You know, I still have a very low key and held back too. So I apologize if mine.
No, it's crazy. Fine. I mean, some people enjoy it. It's good. It's for the views. Anyways, going back to this. Stephen King actually, like we just said, was not a fan. He told Playboy in 1983 he admired Kubrick for a long time and had great expectations for the project, but was deeply disappointed in the end results. Part of the film are chilling, charged with relentlessly claustrophobic terror, but other places it fell flat in. So, yeah, on to the next.
Not good.
Not good. No bueno.
Yep.
Here you go. Here's a Jaws question for you. Jaws doesn't fully appear in a shot until 1 hour and 21 minutes into the movie.
Yep.
I will gladly take a shot, or not a shot, Jesus Christ, a sip. I'm drinking seltzer, you guys. It's fine.
Oh, hey.
I do have my tequila, not my tequila. I do have my vodka here. I might just splash in a little bit to kind of
hey,
it up a little bit, you know? Hey, why not?
Have a fun time.
Why not? It's a Tuesday, you know? Jesus.
Look at old Steve there, that rascal.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, squirrel. Okay, you guys. Sorry, I'm trying to stay focused here. Okay, it took 7 years to get Aliens made.
I feel like it took me even longer to watch Aliens. Honestly, that was like Alien or Aliens was like one of those movies that took me a little while to get into. It took 7 years to get Aliens made. I would say false. Oh, wait, it took 7 years.
Yep, it's fact. You're going to have to drink up there.
Fucking Aliens.
So why did it take 7 years for the sequel to get made? Lawyers and money, of course. Talk of the sequel begins shortly after the original Alien in 1979, and it was a hit, obviously, but it was delayed because of dispute between the film's producer and 20th Century Fox. Bunch.com.
Yep.
Cock blocking us for our movie 7 years
bastards.
Later. We already forgot who they were. Like Aliens. Whatever happened to the first one? Anyway. The Halloween script originally called for an all-black ski mask.
False?
That is correct. It is false. It is fiction. And let me take a drink again, you guys.
And I have to apologize. I said Nicole earlier. Hollie, I apologize.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's my middle name, so
you're not. It was pretty close, but I just all of a sudden saw it, and I was like,
"No,
that's not her name. What am I doing?"
Fine. I've been called.
Take
worse.
A drink. Jesus.
Listen to this. I've been called worse in my life. I can guarantee this. But anyways, so the original script of Halloween actually didn't call for any specific kind of mask. The mask for Michael Myers was only described as having a pale, neutral features of a man. So it really came down to two things. One was the cheap latex mask painted with
Mm-hmm.
white, like we see, or at least for those who are watching this, as you guys can see. And then the other one was a replica of a clown character, which I feel like they made a good call. A clown character, Michael Myers.
Yeah, it would have been a little tough. They found a William Shatner, of Star Trek
Uh-huh.
and Unsolved Mysteries. They found a William Shatner mask and painted it the white and fluffed
What?
the hair and all that, and that's where that mask come from.
Well, look at you teaching us something on this Tuesday.
You know,
Rainy Rainbow, the more you know.
I gotta step it up a little bit. Jeez
Well, you got
Louise.
you're like, okay,
These
anywhere I can
goddamn
come in and
toilets. Jesus, aliens.
fucking toilets and aliens and stuff. All right,
Knock
so
me off my
let's
square.
go with the next one. The original ending of Fright Night had a zombie in it.
Oh man, I don't know.
Well, if you had to guess, what would you
I'll say fact just because I kind of hope so. That would be sick.
guess? You need to take a
Fiction.
sip.
Okay.
Yeah,
These rascals.
Yeah, they actually the original ending, the film's original ending saw Peter Vincent transform into a vampire while hosting Fright Night in front of a live television audience.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Makes
Man,
sense,
oh man.
right?
Now I was thinking it was talking about like there was like an alternate ending or
Oh,
like something different than what it was that we were seeing. So
that was a
maybe
out for you. So
rascals.
trying to get you that
Man, oh man, they're trying to get me 2 shades to the wind.
correct.
Bastards.
So this one, I feel like this one's going to be an easy one. I mean, probably maybe serial killer Ed Gein inspired 3 major horror movies.
Yeah, let's say I think Sounds of the Lambs, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yep, you got it, dude. Have you ever like really dove into like his story? It's
I
fucked
was
up.
I was in like middle school and I remember reading a book that was like a biography
Dude, we're so weird,
about
both of
him.
us, because I was the same way. I always I was like literally in 8th grade reading like Children Who Kill. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
I know it's a little brutal, but anyway. Yeah, I remember like hearing about it. I was like, whoa, like obviously it's because like in my head I can't relate. Like I'm like, how's somebody so fucked up in the head that they do what they do?
Right.
So don't worry, you guys. I'm not gonna be out there like, running around with a
It's
machete or anything. But it's interesting to see the psychology behind it.
hmm And it is interesting too. I mean, just as far as like, because over the years, just kind of from all different walks of life, talking to people, and it's funny how many people will be like, "Man, have you ever read a book about like a serial killer? Or have you ever read a book about like, real life like crime stuff?" And it's like, yeah.
I'm like,
Man, I just don't know what it. But there's just kind of that interest in like
mhm.
looking into that psychology and looking into like what makes somebody, and it's just so scary that like we're interested in horror movies or being scared of like those types of things, but like that thought of going that far
But like
gone
in real
it's like,
life. Yeah,
holy
exactly.
fuck.
Yeah, with Ed is interesting because it's like from what I remember, it's been a hot minute. I mean, obviously I didn't like read that book yesterday, but from what I remember, it was like his dad, I think, was abusive to his mom, and
Hmm.
like he ended up dying or something. But his mom's very much like women are the devil, very like suppressed him, did not allow him or her brother to drink. And then after his mom passed away, that's whenever he kind of lost his shit and just started going off and like skinning people, both in the cemetery as well as like killing people. It's wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one is a correcto mundo. Like I said, it was
Thank God.
Psycho, Silence of the Lambs, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So
Psycho. Yeah.
yeah, he was among items discovered at his Plainfield, Wisconsin farm were 4 noses, 9 masks made of human skin, numerous decapitated heads, lampshades and bowls made out of skins, lips being used as a pull on a window shade, and a belt made out of nipples. That one's a little tough to envision.
Wow.
Like, ouch.
Yeah.
But yeah, he later admitted to only two murders. I'm like, he only killed 2 people. But said that most of them, the items have came from a late night cemetery raid, which is wild.
Wow. Yeah. Even that. I mean, he's just a true collector. Really, I think there's a
He's literally
misunderstanding.
digging up dead
You
bodies and
know.
just like peeling it off. Like, what? Like you were cooking chicken and stuff, and like the skin of a chicken like grosses me out. I couldn't even
Yeah.
cannot relate.
Crazy. Mm-hmm.
All right, so
Agree.
next one we have is
Oof.
the three main characters of the Blair Witch Project were paid $1,500 a day to film.
Wow. Let's say fact. I really don't know, but this is
And let's say
interesting.
you got to take a drink because that is
Hey, yo.
I
Okay.
know. Actually, the craziest thing, the cast they were behind the cast behind the 1999 horror classic were only paid $1,000 a day, and the movie ended up grossing over $250 million. I think this is kind of actually in the news recently too, because I think there's like a spinoff coming or like a part two or something, a remake. I don't know, but it's kind of like
Hmm.
stirred up those emotions with those people. Like, man, we got screwed. Which
Yeah,
I would
for
agree.
real.
I mean, I would
I,
agree.
I mean, I know that it was supposed to be a pretty small production, and like right around that time, I don't know if it was like 98 or 99. I remember, there being a lot of buzz about that movie and the quality of it and everything, really had people like spreading and movie theaters telling people like, hey, out of respect for families, please,
I remember, yeah.
keep respectful to everybody. And, these were actual happenings, and so, it, I guess, added, to the fact, but, not being able to take care of your cast and crew. That's also kind of shitty. But, and then again, maybe, they probably didn't know that it was going to end up what it was. Shit.
Yeah, I think there's like some like legal battle too from I remember reading about
Oh,
them.
really?
Like they were promised royalties or something. They never saw it, but at the end of the day, like what they actually got paid was $1,000 a day, which is freaking wild. But
Yeah, damn.
I mean, but also there was like you hold a camera and shake your hand, but whatever.
Hey, they pulled it off.
Did the
That movie's,
job. Did the
movie's
job.
scary. Hmm.
Okay, so the next question we have is Mike
Hmm.
Flanagan was in contention to direct Gremlins.
Is this like a remake we're talking?
No, like the original agreement. Like he was a contender to direct it.
I would say false.
That is correct. Let me drink.
All
This is
right.
an interesting one. Actually, the person who was in contention to be the director was Tim Burton.
What?
Mm-hmm. I
Really?
thought the same thing. So there was a lot of buzz surrounding Tim Burton after, Frank and Weenie and stuff like that. Wait, was it Frank and Weenie? Yeah, so much that Steven Spielberg considered him to direct Gremlins, but the fact that, let's see, he hadn't had a featured film just yet was holding it against him. So, of course, a year later, he released his first theatrical feature, which is Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Mm-hmm. Whoa.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
crazy.
Isn't that crazy to think? Like,
Wow. Oh,
yeah,
shit.
when worlds collide, huh?
Yeah. Wow. And
Uh,
knocking it out with some solid fact or fiction here,
I'm
Holly.
trying.
Jesus.
Trying. I
Killing
mean,
it.
also, you guys don't come at me if you guys fact check this and it ends up being false. But anyway, don't let the facts get in the way of good story. I mean,
There
obviously,
you go.
I didn't call them up and say, "What's up, Tim? Tell me something that I can include in this." So, anyways,
We can say you did, though.
correct. I mean,
All
who
right, let's
knows?
see.
Paranormal Activity is one of the most profitable films of all time.
I mean, I hope not, because I wasn't huge into any of those or that series. But I feel like that's more fact than fiction.
You are correct, and let me take a sip of this.
Man, oh, Pete. These
Yeah, I
bastards
never
and
really
these
got into it
ghosts.
either. It's kind of a little different, but it's often compared to the Blair Witch Project because of the low budget nature of it.
Hmm.
After 10 years after the release of Blair Witch Project, the original ousted the earlier horror film as the most profitable movie based on the ROI. Let's see, the Blair Witch Project cost about $60,000, whereas Paranormal Activity's initial budget was just $15,000. Blair
Hmm.
Witch grossed 248 million. And let's see, they were grossing, after grossing 65 million, is calculated Paranormal Activity made 433,900% ROI. So good for them.
Wow.
Good for them. Bunch of
Jesus.
numbers, rambling, but at the end of the day,
Well, I mean, but yeah, that's pretty
crazy,
that's
right?
pretty fucking crazy, especially for horror movies. And that's
Uh-huh.
I think what's always like impressive is when it's something that's just very simple, kind of low key. And they had to have some some tips and tricks as far as like the maneuvers and pulling them out of bed and all that. I mean, it looked good.
Yeah.
I just wasn't huge into the series.
All right. Well, I know not to get you anything like that for Christmas. Moving forward. Next question is: The Blob is based on a supposedly true story.
I guess anything could be supposedly based on a true. Let's say true fact.
Okay, you are correct, Amundo. Let me take another sip here.
Uh-huh. What a great movie, an even better remake. The '80s Blob is fucking amazing.
So yeah, on September 27th in 1950, the Philadelphia Inquirer ran an article with the headline "Flying Saucer Just Dissolves." The night before, police officers swore that they had been watching a mysterious object fall from the sky, rushing towards the land site. The men stumbled upon a purple jelly-like mass. So they immediately summoned their two colleagues and arrived there to watch the material evaporate without a trace. The FBI was contacted, a press conference was held, the whole mess became a national laughingstock. Fast forward to 1957, producer Jack H. Harris was looking to make a creature to feature, but couldn't come up with a decent premise. So he asked his friend to try to find one, and it's like, it's got to be a monster movie. So instead of black, we get, the cheapy, creepy one. So yeah, that is
Dude,
that.
I
Interesting.
love
Huh?
that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I feel like back in the day, maybe this is just as being an adult and being aware. It's a little different now, but I feel like back in the day, maybe before like social media had happened, like, don't you remember like aliens were everywhere and they were like these crazy stories? Now you see like, okay, there's these floating balloons, or here's like a video of like Tesla's freaking satellite, whatever. But like now, I remember back in the day, like that shit was terrifying. Like any day they're gonna come up and beam us up and probe us.
It was like the National Enquirer too. Like it was always these really crazy like Bat Boy articles, and they would have different things too. And it's just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you knew it wasn't fake. But also, there's a possibility.
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't seen it in person.
That's all the fun. I think that's all the fun and terrifyingness of like things that come in creature features and things like that. Is it's like, yeah, this is really silly and goofy, but what if this really did happen? Like, what the fuck is anybody going to do against a giant blob? Nothing.
Exactly.
Just drink.
We're just drink and evaporate afterwards, allegedly, supposedly. Okay, so this is our last one.
Okay.
And
can't fuck it up.
Child's Play was inspired by a real event.
I'm going to say false. And if I lose, I get to drink.
Oh, you lose, you get a drink, and I'll take a drink with you because I'm a little
beautiful. Now I'm a little interested.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe you haven't heard, because I'm going to geek out on this because I've actually seen this thing in real life.
Okay.
So this is actually probably one of my favorite like IRL stories. So I don't know if you know much about Key West, but it's kind of cursed in the sense that like a bunch of weird shit has happened in Key West. But in 1909, Key West painter and author Robert Odo had claimed that one of his family servants had placed a voodoo curse on his childhood toy. And the toy was called Robert the Doll. Supposedly, the doll would mysteriously move around from room to room, knock over furniture, and conduct conversations with him as a child, right? So Robert the Doll was left in the attic until Odo's death in 1974. When the new owners moved into his Florida home, the new family claimed that mysterious activities would happen at the house that would be connected to the doll. So today, Robert the Doll is actually displayed in a museum in Key West. And I actually was in Key West. And I remember like a week before I got there, I don't know, it was like the craziest like happenstance, whatever. But I watched an actual like show, like a movie segment of Robert the Doll and like the craziness of it. And it was like, and it's in Key West. And I was like, well, fuck you. I'm going there next week. I've got to go to this museum and I got to see Robert the Doll. So I went there. There's a bunch of crazy shit. Like there's a bunch of wild stuff in this museum. It's like pretty much a bunch of haunted stuff.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's wild. It's one of my favorite things. I'm like nerding out and it's like this cold, clammy, like basement feels or thing, but it's fine. No, they literally have this doll in a glass case in the center of a room. He doesn't look like much. I mean, I'm trying not to say anything like Robert, don't come haunt me, but like, it doesn't look creepy or anything like that. But if you read it and it says that like if you take a picture of it, he will get mad and he will haunt you. And the only way to like release yourself or to free yourself from him haunting you is you have to write a handwritten letter mail it to him and asking for apologies that you took the picture and you have to like delete or destroy it. Well, of course, I didn't fucking take the picture because I'm like, I'm already doing like
Oh
I'm
yeah.
already like, I'm trying to ask for that stuff in my life. But it was crazy because they had like a projector, like a screen showing all like the scanned in handwritten notes that people have, allegedly asked for forgiveness. But he's just sitting there
Oh
chilling in his
man.
little rocking chair in the middle of this museum in Key West. It's pretty fascinating.
Dude, for as much as I love horror and scary movies and things like that, fucking around with anything like that, or like, hey, there's a haunted house down the street, we should break in, and dude, that was never me. I was like, fuck you guys, we're not going and doing this.
Like,
This is stupid. And going in the graveyard at 12 o'clock at night. What are you
yeah.
doing? Cut it out.
I remember there's a place when I was in West Virginia and we lived there. There was like a haunted like mental asylum, which I mean, it's already creepy,
Hmm.
right? I remember I waited in the car. I'm like, you guys go have fun. I'm like, I'm not gonna like losing my shit.
Now, don't get me wrong. I went into the cemetery, and luckily we didn't have anything happen. But
Yeah,
I've never been big
I just
into
don't want that
any of the
in my
taking
life.
pictures of a damn doll, having it
Yeah,
follow me
I'm like,
home. Yeah,
that's something I can
it's not
avoid. I
good.
have enough shit I have to deal with. I'm not trying to
Mm-hmm.
ask for this in my life.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Beautiful.
anyways,
Well, that
that's
was
it.
fun.
Thanks for your
Jesus.
time. I'm glad you took the time. I'm glad, honestly, I didn't take score, so I kind of fucked up there. But when I
Yeah.
listened to this in production, I'm going to take score. But really, you've been the only person that played this. You're kind of automatically the standing like winner, like the champion.
Wow. Man.
So congratulations. You'll receive a special prize in the mail.
Wow. It feels great. I'd like to thank my mom.
What standard? So the next person that will play this game, they will fight for your title. So just so you know,
Dude.
don't get comfortable.
If you have Wayne on at some point again of Hatebreed, ask him a bunch of Kiss
Dude, oh
stuff.
my gosh, I actually was
Mm-hmm.
messaging him earlier this year because I'm like, dude, let's connect. They were on
Mm-hmm.
tour, so that is a fabulous. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that out there. Wayne is gonna be the
Dude.
runner-up against you on that because we'll see we'll see how he does. So 100%, that's awesome. I love it.
No, lots of fun. That was cool. Appreciate
Well,
it.
anyways, thanks so much for being here. I know
Dude.
I try to keep these like 15 to 20 minutes, and here we are like 40 minutes deep, but it's been entertaining.
Yeah.
I've had fun, you've had fun, and I already know the audiences have fun. So, with that being said, on last words for the show, where can people follow you, find out more about your journey, and just all the cool shit that you're doing?
I'm on YouTube, just under the Lo-Fi Horror Guy. I have my page on Instagram, as well as I do every once in a while TikTok, and I kind of upload, the videos that I post up of the, stupidity and, humor-driven horror things. But yeah, I'm going to be announcing new interviews for July. I've got a couple. I've slowed down, work schedule has kind of, messed up things as far as this year. So I've slowed down some, but I also have another, my musical interviews split off into its own show called Fireside Chants. And it's my buddy Jeremy and I, who he's also in Tunnel of Love. And so we, get a hold of guests and talk with musicians of all sorts. So I'm going to have a couple of people that are horror-related interviews for Growing on You Live for July, and I have Chris Ulch, who that was a rescheduled interview from a couple months ago, but we're finally going to have that going July 18th. He's in Power Trip, KOS, Mammoth Grinder. Huge dude, so I'm really excited. Awesome drummer.
So I've got to ask, and this is most definitely the vodka plus seltzer hitting me, but Tunnel of Love, is that like an anal thing or is that like... No? Okay, never mind. We're gonna record scratch. I was like, Tunnel of Love.
It's originally, truthfully,
Allegedly.
I was going through like a book of different old circus like carnival rides. To be frank, Holly, Jesus Christ,
God, I've never been red, but my face is like totally fucking red.
No, so I was going through, and there was just like different, like old attractions and old rides, and one of the things I saw was the Tunnel of Love, and I thought that was kind of cool. It's like one of those things where kids go in and they're supposed to try and get frisky or be silly or whatever.
Somebody that's hiding.
Yeah, and that was kind of like the feel of it. But then along, I kind of pitched the idea, to the rest of the boys in the band, and the group ICP, Insane Clown Posse. They're from Detroit. They're from Michigan. And not too long after, like a couple of guys were like, "Wait, is Tunnel of Love like an ICP reference?" And I was like, "Oh fuck," because they have an EP called Tunnel of Love, and I was like,
Yeah.
"No," but like that also
They will
rips.
ride
Like,
that
I
gravy
mean,
train if it's
yeah,
gonna
we'll
be wrong
we'll,
with
we'll
it.
go there. So,
Anal,
but
like, ICP, whatever it is, if it makes you
Yeah.
listen to it, listen to it.
yeah. So it was just something kind of along those lines too. But there's also been innuendos, kind of like what you had mentioned. There's
Yeah.
been innuendos of it being like the barrel of a gun, and our EP has like a guy holding a gun out, and so there's different little meanings behind it. But it was actually originally supposed to be a carnival ride. I swear to
Carnival
God.
innocent ride that, people just enjoy themselves, and here I am being disgusting.
Yeah.
Oy
Well,
vey.
it's not just you. I promise.
Well, anyways, but I appreciate your time. I know you've been super busy, and we've been connecting and trying to like make this work. So I just appreciate you making it work. And yeah, this was a kick-ass time. I can't wait to see who challenges you, which I'm going to try to get
Oh,
Lane to do
man.
it 100%. And then I will send you something, but just don't get attached to this title just yet. Something tells me someone might come through and, Mr. Steal Your Title might come through, or Mrs., whoever it is.
Yeah. I
So
bet I did pretty
enjoy.
bad.
No, you actually didn't. I'm just talking shit. You actually did
No,
pretty
we had
great.
fun.
You
We had
did great,
fun, Hollie.
so
I think that was the most important thing. So
that's
it was
all that
awesome.
matters is, fun times. But anyways,
time.
thank you so much. Everyone tuning in, make sure you guys go out and follow all the social media links I post in the comments because, yeah, this guy has some rad shit you got to check out. And until next week, you guys, keep rocking.
Take care.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Teaser Talk. Head over to teasertalk.com to subscribe so you don't miss out on another episode. Until next week, keep rocking.